All right, greetings everybody. Greetings everybody. I just warmed up over on Courtier, which is the network that I focus on music the most on. It's the best way to describe it. Again, still evolving how I use my different networks, although I know they all have a proper purpose. Acronym logo, stand forever. Every bloodline stand forever. Anyway, my name is Chimoge. Welcome to Chimoge Comments. Just got a phone notification. All right. My name is Chimoge. You can also call me Moge. Published music under the name Nkworie. Nkworie. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. All right. I don't know why I sat down. It's a bad habit. Ooh. Abunam Noga. Abunam Noga. All Gabru. Abum Gamadio. Abum Gamadio. Abum Kalaka. Ama. Karabu Kalakan. Amadio. Karabu Kalakan. Amadio. Greater than is the greatest man alive. Greater than packing the greatest man alive. Amadio. The good husband of the people. You all might know it best as the God of Thunder. Let's go. And it's not this one person. It's still a man. Not just people that have that which we call gender anyway. Interesting revelation from my ancestors. Energy. We all got energy to us. Let's make sure it's good energy. All right. Let me not go too high. It's bad for us. Slow. All right, let's see. So in my previous notes, but what I'm focusing on today, at least to start off, is my video structure. Thinking about that more because I need to just further concretize my baseline video structures. Let's just say that. Let's go. Ooh, spin. Ooh, fly one day. God. Abu Mama deal, huh? Abu Mama deal, huh? Abu Kalakanta. Come jire to the archer, to think archer, the darkness and the light. Ama deal, huh? Abu Mama deal, huh? Abu Mama deal, huh? Triangle it, all right. What are we starting with today? Is there tomato? I think a better way to think of it is idea structure, even though that's very general. There's no such thing as a person who does not need the idea, because even when you have it perfect, sometimes you need to find a new perfect. You have to change it up. Anyway. Abu Mama, dear. Abu Mama, dear. Who, Abum Hajen Kajenka, Abum Haje Karenka, Abum Amadiuha, Abum Amadiuha Hajeha, Abum Amadiuha Majeha, Amadiuha Maworoha, Amadiuha Kawaroneba, Abum Kala Kanenkua, Abum Kala Monaboenkua, Abum Amadiuha Nuanka, Ka. All right. So, structure is this same thing. Okay. Is it? Anime Kizzy. Habum Jikizzy. Jiko is it? Okay, so what parts? Let's see. Yeah. Nah. Ekwansu no good, whatever I see. Ekwansu no good, Ekwansu shady. Ogun, the god of war. That is out of limits. Shady. Ogun, do you know Zia? Do you know Kajana? Ogun Bonye Kajana. One me. Karoge. Okatirone. Abumama Joe. Abumama Joe. Amarama. Abumama Joe. So that aspect. Same thing. Webogun, I'm a look at. Again, welcome to everyone just joining me. I'm thinking here. My name is Chimoge. Also go by Moge. My given name is Chimoge. It's very specific. Moge is another name very close to my heart. Ironically, my given name is not close to my heart. But anyway, the name is just one thing. It's not everything. I ain't got any. We have a name in Christ in the world today. Again, even though my given name is not close to my heart, please don't disrespect me by butchering it. That's an act of war. When you commit an act of war, Ogun becomes good. Ogun does not like acts of war. He's the god of war. Anyway, what's Ogun anyway? I don't need to call Ogun when he's serious. I will look. I'm gonna do that. I have no son. I'm gonna do that. Ooh, All right. What is that camera taking off? Let's just put something down. This aspect. Let's go with Atu Oprah. Yeah, it looks like what's bothering me is the M at the doing of this. Basically, this is the biggest one. Basically, I'm just fine-tuning exactly how to translate those ideas into action. Really how to make them. Remember how to make it, we go. I'm almost there. How do I fine-tune this process, the creation process? Pretty basic in a way, anyway. Atumatu, Atumarachu, Amadio, Atumatu Mushu, Abu Amadio, Abo Amadio, Abo Amadio, Abu Amadio, Abu Moki Keka, Abu Si Sa, Abu Sawale Baba, Abu Sawale Mama, Abu Sawale, Anime Sawale Nakawale Naka, Abu Mama, Dio Ha, Abu Mama, Dio Ha, Anime Madio Ha Karayaka, Abu Mama Dio Ha, damn it, this stuff. It's a nice image. Also makes me hungry. Anyway, Kalaikan, 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 Karabu Kalaikan, Karabu Kalaikan, One challenge I'm having is since I started this. Well, let me forgive me. I can say that better. Let me give you all my audience a better sense of my trajectory as far as idea creation throughout my life. So, well, let me not begin in the cradle. Let me just start in college. So I wrote in high school, let me say I wrote a little bit in high school. I need to figure out how to explain that. Let me just for now say that I wrote at a certain level in high school. I'm thinking of how to explain it. When I went to college in 2016, I took it to another level. So at that time, I was primarily writing articles. So that was my idea creation. And that is a process that, and again, I'm still thinking of how to fully explain to my audience, both in terms of what happened and what I want people to do based upon my college career, I'll say that. But as I mentioned before, I went to Harvard College in 2016, graduated in 2020. I was there for a standard 4 years. So I was 18 to begin, 22 to end. Again, my birthday is January 2nd. I'm just saying that just to know my age. So it's just a standard college career, even though obviously Harvard is a different college. It's different than most colleges. But anyway, the whole point is, that's the backdrop. Think of how to explain that, because that was a very rough period. So I'm just thinking of how to explain that. Again, like I graduated, my grades were, it's hard to compare people's grades at Harvard. I think college in general, because people are doing different things. I'll just say I didn't have bad grades overall. So it wasn't a case of I had bad grades overall. It was hard because it was just a lot of work, and then the social environment was tough. That's what I mean. So that's what I'm saying. Anyway, I'll leave it at that for now. So I go to Harvard. I start writing at a different level because I'm writing for mainly one publication. So I was thinking about myself primarily as a writer. But then when I got out of college, and again, I was sick, so I didn't do as much work as I wanted to, even though I did still do a lot of work. Yeah, that was crazy. And mind you, I left, we all had to leave Harvard's campus in March of 2020 due to the global health emergency that was happening at the time. Again, Harvard is in Massachusetts, Cambridge, Massachusetts, right near Boston. So I went from there, returned to my main childhood home. I'll just say it like that because I was born in DC, but for most of my childhood, really from the time of about like 3, at least I was told, I don't remember being 1, but at least at the time of like 3, we were living in Maryland. Were we living in Maryland the whole time? Anyway, the point is, lived in Maryland my whole childhood basically. We were born in DC, so that's an interesting dynamic because I never said Maryland was my birthplace, because I was living there. So, the whole point of that is I go from Boston, return to Maryland, And this is Prince George's County, Maryland, right? So I'm there, and a lot is happening in society. So as usual, I want to have my say, but I was thinking of how best to transmit my message. I was doing a lot of writing. Again, I didn't really process it as proper writing because I think I was still too formal in my thinking. But on various platforms like back then Twitter, really mainly Twitter, I was writing, responding to things. And then I was also thinking of how to start my own media company. Of course, it's blossomed in those days. But anyway, so I'm doing all that, but one thing I've noticed is that one, writing is a very intensive process. So shout out to everyone who writes out there. Always give yourself, in my language, respect yourself, because that's a very difficult process. It's not easy. You know, it's very hard to put out. I'll say it like this: if you manage to put out a piece of writing every day, you're achieving. So people have different rhythms. Some people, maybe they'll put out something every few days. That's a lot. Some people might write a big piece and they put out every few years. Those are all valid strategies. It's difficult. So that's one thing. That's inherent to the process. But then two, most people watch videos more than they write. So because of that, I was thinking, okay, I really need to transition to making videos more. But I was thinking about that, and there was just a lot going on, particularly with my health. There's family chaos, unfortunately. I've spoken about that before. I hate having to speak about that, but that's a reality. So because of that, I could say I was buffering, but I still put stuff out. Like in 2020, I put out my first YouTube video. It's still on Chinua Silence America. Check it out. At least the first one is still up, but that's the one I really worked on. It's called Say No to Jokes from Sunday. And just to be clear, I posed something in the just, you know. Unfortunately, when things break down, there are many people who must be criticized. So I'll leave it at that. So, long story short, again, I'll let you know where I'm going. I'm trying to tell you about what I'm thinking through as far as idea creation. I started out thinking about myself as someone who transmits my ideas via writing. Then I'm thinking, okay, I have to transmit them via video because that's more effective. And again, I wasn't planning on abandoning writing. I was just like, all right, before I write more articles, I really need to get my health up. Although at the same time, I was posting a lot of shorter writing things, I'll say that. But I wasn't really processing them just because of the culture. A lot of times, you know, if you're putting out, you know, say a 250 character piece of writing, people don't process it as something big. It's just, oh, you know, I posted here, I posted there, which isn't proper, but I was doing it. But then I was thinking, all right, I think I probably have to consolidate that somehow, just so I don't, so I can maximize my energy. So, after, you know, I guess I'll say the worst part of that global health emergency, due to more family trouble, and let me not say that again, but or go into that too much, but there's more family trouble. So I moved to Atlanta in August of 2021. So when I moved to Atlanta in August 2021, after a short period, again, I was always going to found my own media company, but initially I was thinking, okay, it makes the most sense for me to do that and do what most other people do in society today, which is find a job working for someone else. And I want to be clear, I'm nowhere near opposed to working in collaboration with other people, but that is different than working in subordination to other people. It's just not my thing. And I want to be clear, most people are meant to work in subordination to other people. That's just not me. I'm just part of the minority that's not. And one is not, the best way to say that is that they're just different, like work characters. Like one group is not evil or anything. That's the best way to say it. Let me leave it like that. Anyway, I'm simply just not someone who works in subordinate. I've done it before. I can do it well in terms of getting to the goal. The problem is then my whole health and being gets destroyed. And then a lot of times, just because of, and I'll leave it at that. But yeah. So anyway, the point is, I was doing that, but mind you, that family issue was significant, occupied a lot of my time, and then I had a health issue. And of course, the family issue dovetailed with the health issue. So, because again, I have very high standards for myself. So to give you context, in that period, I applied to 20 different jobs. This was because again, I moved to Atlanta in a hurry. And mind you, I was coming out of a bad situation in Maryland related to work and family. So those were recurrences. So I come to Atlanta August 2021. That was mid-August. Moved here like August 15th. Yeah, like August 15th, something like that. So I said, all right, that was crazy. Let me rest for the rest of that month, right, and figure out Atlanta. Again, I'd never been to Atlanta before as an adult. Apparently, I came here when I was like 2. But, you know, in terms of knowing your way around the place, that doesn't mean you know the way around the place. Let me just say it like that. So I didn't know, and I didn't know anyone in Atlanta. Right. So, come here in August 2021, just a crazy family situation. Come here because of a crazy family situation. I take August off. I'm like, let me just get my bearings. I was just really just trying to be able to think. Then the beginning of September, I said, all right, now let's find the job working subordination to another person. So from like, or actually no, I think I gave, did I give myself, was the rest all of August, or did I give myself a full month in time? Let me think. Let's say for now I gave myself a full month, or these timelines are important to me because a lot happened. Anyway, let me think of what to say so I can continue this story. Let me just say for now, to be conservative, that I actually gave myself a full month of rest from mid-August to mid-September. Let me say that for now. Okay, I need to see if I have records that can make me remember. But anyway, once the rest is over, start quote-unquote job searching. At the same time, I'm thinking of more about how to found Ozugbo. I didn't have the name yet. I'd thought of the concept in Maryland, and then around that time I got the concept for Chinonye's Comments. And then Chinonye's Comments America already existed under a different name, but I wasn't sure what to do with it because originally when I founded that network, the scope was very narrow. So I just didn't know what to do with it. I wasn't thinking as deeply about that one. But anyway, that's in good shape now. So, go a month, I applied to about 20 jobs. Basically, and I'll go into this in more detail in the future. That was a complicated process. I ended up getting one job offer. And then the issue was, the work schedule seemed to be very intense, and that wasn't tenable because the family issue occupied a lot of my time. So I was just thinking, okay, I moved to Atlanta because of that family issue. If I don't have time to devote to it, that defeats the purpose. And then 2, my health also. So I was like, you know what, that won't work. And 3, or you could really say 2, the salary was not very high, which surprised me a little bit, but you know, there are factors going on in society that made me not that surprised. I'll just say it like that for now. So I looked at that. I looked at my family situation, looked at my health, and then I also looked at the fact that basically there was another family member who had the ability to provide for my needs, and really that was deeply linked to the family situation. So what I'll say is this, that person both had the ability to support me very easily and had implicitly agreed to do so. Right. So I'll just leave it at that for now. So because of that, long story short, I said, you know what, let me just focus 100% on the media company. While I also, no, here's a better way to say it. A better way to say it is, let me focus primarily on fixing my health, right? Because I was in a situation where, you know, a lot of times it was hard for me to, you know, get out of bed and things like that because of how bad my health was. So let me just say that for now. Let me just say that for now. So that was number one. And then number two, and I'll just say it like this for now, because again, that was very complicated in that time. But number two, I'll just say it like this for now, focus on the media company. Because when I looked at that, I was like, there's a high chance that bears fruit, and then I can be flexible with it. So I can focus on number one, because again, at the time, that was 2021. I was 23 years old. So I was just looking at it and it's like, you know what, if I'm 23 and I can't get out of bed, I really have to tackle this now to let the long-term profit. So anyway, there was that. So I know I've done a bit of a roundabout, but trust me, this is all linked. So a big part of what was actually giving me anxiety is my base idea of how I put out ideas was writing. And the style in which I write, those of you who've seen my writings as of late, you can check them out on Patreon, among other places, but check them out on Patreon. Those of you who've seen my writings of late will notice that the writing style is different than my writings in the past. I'll explain that in the future. But the way I was writing was very intense, and I have respect for people who write like that because that's how we've been taught. And also, I mean, it can give you something, but it's just very intense. So it would just take too long for me to get my ideas out, especially when I'm not feeling well. And then from an economic perspective, that would limit the viability of my enterprise. Whereas with videos, especially because more people watch videos, I can transmit the idea more easily and put out more volume. So I was transitioning from putting out ideas as writing to videos. So I began that process around that period. So really for the rest of 2021, and again, there was other stuff happening relating to those situations I was talking about. Especially I traveled a couple times, should not have in hindsight, but this was stuff like, you know, going back to the family home for Thanksgiving, going back to the family home for Christmas, and then around that time we also traveled to Nigeria. That also took a toll. So there's stuff going on. I'll go on into that in more detail in the future. But that broke up my rhythm, and then that family situation was crazy. Still very angry about that. But anyway, the whole point I'm making is this: for the rest of 2021, I'm focusing on my health, getting sabotaged, and then also formulating the idea for the media company. Then 2022 hit. I was sick at the beginning of 2022 because there was an infectious illness going around that time. I caught it, and I'll just leave it at that. Shout out to the family situation. So, I caught the infectious disease in January. It was not good. Had it for, let me just say there was at least a week where it was very bad. Let me just leave it at that. So January kind of got nuts because when I got out of that, I was getting myself together, but I was still making progress, and I was overthinking it a bit. But then February 19th, I published my first video here on Shimoge's Conference. You can check it out. It's about Kemet. The first video is called Kemet Explained. There's a few of those. It's a lecture. So, and for those of you who don't know, Kemet is another name for infodemic. Don't worry, I'm circling back to that topic. It's just I spent like 2 hours talking about it. So I was like, you know what, let me circle on to other things. Because I was also thinking of what else to say about that, how else to present it. And I've learned more information. Although I will say most of it, sheer random, came from the street. My ancestors had a lot to say. Because I'll just say I haven't really seen much new information about it from, let me say, society, which doesn't mean anything's wrong. It's just, that's a topic that's been well trod over anyway. We'll do more on that in the future, maybe soon. So, at that point, I started making videos. But long story short, how do I explain this? So it was better now, right? And then I'm still putting out some shorter writings in those formats I made out before. Although I hadn't put out a long article in a while, and I wasn't really pressed about that just because the standard for that is not that you put one out once a month necessarily. There's not necessarily a central standard. It's more just at some point, either at once, all at once, or in totality, put out a body of written work that's good. And that's kind of a vague standard, but that's not really the fault of people who write. I think I'm not 100% sure why it's like that. I'll get to that. But anyway, again, shout out to all my fellow writers. Give yourself some respect. Let's do a round of applause. Round of applause. Round of applause. The hand of God is a round of applause. Very important. But anyway, the point is, so I'm making videos. So it was better. But then earlier this year, I realized that I also had to reframe it again and say that the centrality of putting out ideas is art. And art, I'll go into my relation with art over my life in the future. But long story short, I didn't always think of myself as an artist. But looking back, that was the biggest thing missing when I founded Ozibe Mocha. It's not my fault that I wasn't thinking of myself as an artist. But it would have been way better if I didn't think of myself as an artist at that time. So now let's get on to what I'm talking about more specifically now. That was just the background. Here I'm talking about the creation process for my ideas. So now when I'm thinking about it, where I'm at now, and I'm trying to go a little bit deeper, the first place my ideas should come out, at least in terms of the baseline structure. Again, sometimes I might feel like just spitting out a video might be different. But the first place it should come out is in art. And that's really the most important place, because that's the one that can translate the most into person. So the point of my videos is really to get people to look at my art so the idea resonates in the brain, you see. And then writing, how I think of it now, it has to be attached to something like an art piece, a video. When I'm speaking of art, I'm thinking of like art that's behind a paywall right now. It's hard to express in English, but I have art that's not under a paywall. Stuff you call cover art, like my thumbnails. I call them Ehu face, but I don't want to go too much in my own terminology here. But the whole point is, the way I think of my writing should be supporting that art piece, supporting the Ehu, supporting the video, things of that nature. And then the written idea will be transmitted like that. But the thing is, the issue I'm having now is I still have not limited my segmentation enough. And by that, I mean, the way I think of things now, I'll create the idea and I'll be like, all right, this will be the art piece, and then this will be the video, and then kind of stopping thinking, okay, this will be the written piece, although sometimes that comes out. I think really those emergency messages that I had to put out, the family situation, really are what's causing the remnants of the third one. To leave it at that. But sometimes it's like, I have to spit that out. It's because of real stuff going on. God. Let's re-up the energy in here. Abruna Nova, Abruna Dio, Abruna Mebe, Abruna Muku. Every neighbor, Otuama, Autoburata, Abruna. Supper. Anyway, free up energy. Just shouting out my matrilineage, my patrilineage. I hope those of you who've heard me speak before will recognize some of the words. At least you know what I'm saying. But I don't want to talk too much about that right now. Anyway, let me just. Anyway, the point is, I'm trying to figure out how to create a central idea, and then I can constantly go back to it and be like, all right, let's transmit it as the art piece first, video second, short video third, the face, thumbnail, cover art, whatever you want to call it, fourth, music, audio music piece fifth, and then I can go back and do it in those mediums multiple different times. Maybe I need to draw that. Yes, I'm seeing it now. I think I just need to draw that central thing. Let me just do a bootleg drawing now. Atumatu etitiosha. Ooh, central idea. Etitiosha. The final form of the greatest man alive. The final form is not the expansion of the final form. The expansion of the final form of the greatest man alive is also the greatest man alive. I'm going to talk about that. Etitiosha. The darkness shining in the middle of the light. Could also call it, and that would be the more direct translation, Oji Netiti Archa. Well, it sounds better to me. Well, does it? Let me see. Does it sound better to me when I say Oji Netiti Archa? Oji Netiti Archa? No. Oji Netiti? No. Oji Netiti Archa. Abu Mama. Anemema. Yeah, Oji Netiti Archa. Darkness, middle light. The darkness shining in the middle of the light. Anyway. Apparently manifest is the plant we call coffee, also green coffee. Get you some decaf coffee and or green coffee. They're good for your health. Anyway, I want to emphasize decaf. Too much caffeine is not good for you. Yeah, don't really be a caffeine person. Anyway. Amaranti, Abumati, Abumama, Karbukalakan, Karabuaka, Karanema, Karamarama, Abumamadio, Amarama, Abumamadio, Paul, Amadio, Oji Urata Eti Nke Orcha O2 Abumoni Titi Orcha Aneme Porche Abumamadio Alright. I think my question is really what form that central idea will take. So that then I can just spit them in. Yeah. I'm seeing that. I think I'm done. Anyway, thank you guys for observing this process. We've done a lot. I need people with something. What's the nicest today? Kabuna. They're saying this ended. I'll call it. Thank you very much. See you in the future. Cat.